Welcome back to Flight Zone. Let's take off. Making our way into week 4, we are still covering the Olympics, more specifically, cheating in the Olympics, but not in the games, against a person. An Olympian biathlete from Norway won bronze and then confessed to cheating on his girlfriend in his interview. He stated, 6 months ago, I met the love of my life, and 3 months ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life and cheated on her. His interview went viral, and his ex-girlfriend stated publicly, it is hard to forgive.
Wow.
Personally,
Gosh.
I would not say that, but
Yeah, from what he said, like in his interview.
yeah.
Yeah,
that's
it's bold.
insane.
You know, I guess if there's ever a time or like a place if you want to win your girlfriend back, it's
The Olympics?
yeah, when
After you
everybody's
win?
watching you.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's definitely gonna see it. I guess unfortunately for him, it doesn't sound like they've reconciled. But yeah, what do you think?
6 months is not enough time to meet the love of your life. I am sorry to put it out there. But also that they were only 3 months in and he cheated on her is just kind of crazy to me because he's making it sound like they were dating for years and it happened years in. This was a few months in, so it's like it probably could have happened again had he not done this. And it felt publicity stunt-esque, I guess is the way to say it. Like, I'm sure he wants her back, but on the Olympic stage it's crazy. I would also say it's hard to forgive them, or I would just not answer and say, like, don't talk to me about it.
I was also thinking, like, you're training for the Olympics for years, and you're focused on cheating and meeting the love of your life. Like, shouldn't you be, like, training? Like,
And shouldn't your focus be on, like, I'd like to thank my coaches, my family, everyone who helped me get here.
Yeah.
And instead you're
that's
like,
true.
I made a
Like,
mistake.
Imagine like you're his coach and you like dedicate the past couple years to training him, or you're his parents and you raised him and did all this, and then you're thinking he's gonna thank you, and then he begs for his ex-girlfriend who he cheated on to take him back.
Imagine the parents didn't even know about the girlfriend,
Yeah.
and they're like, who? It was bold.
Yeah.
Definitely
It's gonna go down in
entertaining.
infamy for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very. You know what? I do respect it because he shot his shot. You can't blame him. Like, I do question if only 6 months they dated for, and 3 months in he already was like with another woman. Is that really the love of your life?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe
Not
he was
enough time.
trying to sound better in front of national
I think I thought it sounded
television.
good.
Yeah.
I think he finished and was
Yeah.
like, I ate that up. Yes.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of interesting because maybe if he won gold, it would have been a different story. Like, you come in third and then you kind of say that. But I don't know.
Hey, he had a camera and a microphone. That's all he needed.
Maybe that's
needed
how.
that little
Maybe that's what
soapbox.
they do in Norway. You know,
Maybe.
maybe that's how they
Well,
think
I wonder,
love is.
like, do you think this either like encouraged him or like discouraged him being so heartbroken? Like, do you think it motivated him to train harder, or do you think it was like taking away his will to live, and he would have gotten gold if he wasn't in such a bad state of mind?
Can I make a hot take about male athletes specifically? I don't think he cared until this happened and he won, and he's like, or something came out that he cheated, and then it was like, oops, I gotta like make my ground back and apologize, because I feel like if he really truly cared, he would have done it in private with her. I don't know. It feels very like what you see on like Love is Blind on Netflix, or like The Ultimatum, or whatever those like like Love Island. Like
Yeah,
you would see it
yeah.
on Love Island.
Yeah. That's just a different time, it's Norway. That's the
Hey,
Norway.
what happens in Norway?
Stays in
Stays
Norway.
in Norway, yeah. But moving into USA, the USA women's ice hockey team just won gold. They had an OT versus Canada, and the goalie got megged, and they won in overtime. I think that's amazing for women's sports, especially when I feel as if ice hockey is more of a male-dominated sport, if you will. So I think that was a great win for the women's team. Does anyone else have any input?
I
on...
also think it was like a great win for the women's team. Yeah, obviously, especially because Canada is like the first country that you think of when you think of
ice hockey, yeah.
That's kind of their niche, you know? It'd be like if they beat us in football. So I think it's great for America. It's pretty embarrassing for Canada, too. But yeah, just great. You know, I'm personally not like, I don't watch the NHL. I find hockey a little boring. But something about like Olympic hockey and like national, I forget, it was like the Four Nations tournament that they did last year in the NHL. That was very interesting, I thought. So I was watching it. I got out of my seat whenever they got the overtime goal. It was great.
I mean, I was just cheering for the girl on the team who's also named Gwyneth, because I know all throughout high school, I was the only girl named Gwyneth until I think I was in 12th grade. A kindergartner was named Gwyneth, so that made me want to cheer for them.
What if there was a Gwyneth on Team Canada?
Cheering for her specifically. Just her. The rest of them can lose. But I do, like you said, like it's not really, we don't think of women, we think of men. And as someone who watches the AHL and the NHL, it was really cool to see the women almost, dare I say, do better than some of the, like you always think of like the men.
You can say.
The men are better.
Say they did
the
better.
Hershey Bears are not good this year right now, and those women should replace the Hershey Bears and play for them, and it would be such a good season. I was really proud of them. I thought it was a really good game, and they dominated the entire like bracket or whatever you want to call it. Like they didn't allow like any goals until semifinals or something like that. It was really impressive.
Yeah, you definitely have to think of the Canadian goalie though. That's definitely hard because it's like the whole loss is on that individual. But I do think it was an overall good matchup and a fight to the very end, if you will.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Any other Olympic mashups or wins or medals that are on our minds?
Yeah, so they just did women's figure skating. Single skates just ended today. And Alyssa Liu breaks the 24-year gold drought that we had in America to win gold in the singles. She scored 226.79 overall, which is a career best. And again, 24 years for the last Olympic title for America. I know a lot of people really liked her coming in, even if she wasn't the favorite. Amber Glenn was. Unfortunately, she fell on Tuesday in her skate, and it really affected her. So then she went to 13th, but she ended up coming back to 5th. So I think it sucks. She wanted a medal, but I'm also proud of like her resilience in that. But Liu is only 20. Alyssa Liu is only 20, and she retired at 16 from the sport because of just how taxing it was and whatnot. And she decided to come back for this Olympic year, but on her own terms with her own coaches. She got to plan everything. And I mean, I think it paid off. I think it's showing that taking a break is okay. I don't know, did you watch any of the figure skating at all?
I didn't. I'm personally not a huge skating fan, whether it's like the duo dancing. I'm not sure what the official term is. I always think of Blades of Glory, the Will Ferrell movie. I think that's like the most I've seen.
I'm going to call it duo dancing from now on.
Yeah, duo dancing. Personally, I didn't. I'm always happy for the American athletes that do well. It's I have ice skated before. I wasn't very good. I don't know how. It's like it's very challenging. A lot harder than it looks, especially. So I don't know how they're like jumping and twirling. Yeah. It's crazy. I do like the outfits. They're always pretty cool.
I like all the sparkles.
Yes,
yeah.
I love the sparkles.
They're always cute. Moving into NFL, even though the Super Bowl did just happen, there is some breaking news in the NFL that Sal would like to talk about.
I would. I am dying to talk about it.
You took over.
I miss the NFL, but there was great news this morning if you're a Packers fan.
Oh, I was like, great news for who?
Or really just anyone. If you're a Bears fan, it's terrible. If you don't like the Bears, it's great. So the Chicago Bears, which is, I would say, one of the they're one of the biggest jokes in the NFL. They suck. The Chicago Bears actually are likely not going to be in Chicago anymore. This morning, they've been looking to move on from Soldier Field, go to a bigger place, potentially host some Super Bowls in the future. And Chicago, I believe, is the third biggest city in America. You'd think
top 10 for sure,
that they would be able to find some space there, or at least in the surrounding area. They have not been able to. So the team president this morning announced that they are looking to build their next stadium right outside of Illinois, actually in Hammond, Indiana. Which, have you ever heard of Hammond, Indiana?
I have not.
I only know South Bend.
I have not. I hadn't heard of it before this morning either. So the Chicago Bears probably not going to be in Chicago in the future. Not even going to be in the state that their team is. It's very, it's so Bears because everything about them is embarrassing. But so it fits them perfectly that they're going to be. And they always talk trash to Packers fans. They're like, well, we're in a city with class and culture, and you just live in a small town with 100,000 people. So now that they're in Hammond, it's even better. This is like the best offseason news I've heard in a long time. So yeah, Packers already winning the offseason.
And before we finish this up, I have a question. Do you like the Bears at all? I can't really gauge from what you're talking about you like the Bears or not.
I pride myself on being an unbiased sports journalist. So I'm not going to give any
Okay.
opinions about that.
Okay.
You said this is big news for all, big news for Packers fans. I think it's the biggest news for you, Sal, and I love that for you, honestly.
Thank you.
Closing out the month of love, you know what that means. Basketball is back. You got that right. March Madness is coming around the corner, and Flight Zone is going to cover it all, so definitely stay tuned for more updates. Up next, we have USC's biggest fan, Pierce Frailey.
All right, guys, welcome back to the UFC segment of Flight Zone. This week is pretty interesting as Sean Strickland is making his return after his 6-month suspension. This Saturday is UFC Fight Night, Strickland versus Hernandez, and the press conference already has a lot of people talking, with Sean Strickland having a lot of very controversial things to say. Back to the fight itself, it's looking like this is going to go to decision between the fighters, with Strickland coming out on top. Strickland is a high-volume, very technical striker in the UFC, and combined with his defense on the feet, I just don't see Hernandez knocking him out. Hernandez is an all-around fighter and specializes in the ground game, and he has submitted a lot of fighters, but Strickland has good wrestling and grappling, and has proven he can get back up after being taken down. Hernandez does have some power in his hands, but not really enough to knock out Strickland like Alex Pereira did. Strickland has fought higher level competition with fighters like Israel Adesanya, Pereira like I mentioned before, and also Dricus du Plessis, all of them are prior champions. I potentially see Strickland getting a TKO, but not a flat-out KO. And that is all for this week. Thanks for tuning in, Jays, and back to you, Ella.
Ending our flight, we have Bray's breakdown on E-Town Athletics.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. It is week 5 of Bray's Breakdown, and we're here to give you all of the details about your Blue Jay athletes over the past week. That being said, let's get started. Women's basketball had an exciting week, taking 2 wins and upsetting Catholic in an overtime thriller on Wednesday. First, we have to take a look at the Saturday matchup, however, as the Blue Jays defeated Wilkes on Senior Day 73-39. After the festivities recognized McKenna Mummer, Aaliyah Kennedy, Ellie Fasek, Ella Gordon, and team manager McKenna Reed, the Blue Jays rocketed out to a hot start, holding Wilkes to only 16 points in the first half and building an 18-point lead heading into the halftime break. E-Town continued to pour on their offense, outscoring the Colonels the rest of the way and took a 34-point win. Mummert compiled 26 points and 4 assists, while Kennedy contributed 16 points and 8 rebounds. Cadence Anderson contributed 11 points and 5 rebounds, and Kylie Wilhelm added 9 points and 7 rebounds off the bench. Gordon led the team in assists with 7, her season high. The Blue Jays on Wednesday faced off against Catholic in their final regular season home game. The Blue Jays came into the game after losing to the Cardinals on the road by 19. E-Town then turned the tables in Thompson Gym, defeating Catholic 58-56. The Blue Jays took an early 3-point lead at the end of the first and held the second-place team in the landmark to only 8 points in the second quarter. The Blue Jays surged in the third quarter, jumping out to a 9-point lead. And after Catholic attempted to claw back in the fourth, the Blue Jays made a strong defensive stop in the last second of the game, sealing an upset victory over the Cardinals. Kennedy led the Blue Jays with 15 points, an impressive 18 rebounds, her season high. Gordon drained 3 threes and collected 13 points and 6 assists. Wilhelm added 12 points and 9 rebounds off the bench in a near double-double, and Mummer added 11 points. Fasek finished the scoring for the Blue Jays, scoring 7 points and adding 6 rebounds, including holding the leading scorer for Catholic to only 3 points in the first half. The Blue Jays round out their season out on Saturday against Lycoming and will play their first game in the landmark playoffs on Tuesday at home, either as the 3 or the 4 seed, depending on Saturday's matchups. The men's basketball team this past week did the opposite of the women's team, dropping their past 2 games with an 81-74 loss to Wilkes on Senior Day and a 71-68 loss to Catholic on the road. Before the game this past weekend, Austin Finarelli, Augie Brody, Reese Ziegler, E.J. Finney, and Ben Stanton were honored for being seniors as part of the program. Against Wilkes, the Blue Jays collected an early lead, dropping 46 points on the Colonels in the first half. Wilkes kept the game close, however, holding the Blue Jays within 4 points after 20 minutes of action. Wilkes put their foot on the gas in the second half, scoring 39 points and defeating the Blue Jays by 11. Finarelli contributed 21 points and 5 assists, shooting 8 for 13 from the floor. Brody had a heck of a first half, scoring 15 points in just 11 minutes off of 5 threes and 7 shots. Zuri Harris added 9 points off the bench, and Ziegler added another 8 points. Against a team that received votes for the top 25, E-Town took on Catholic on the road to try and stay alive in the playoff race. Catholic jumped out to a 7-point lead early in the first half, holding the Blue Jays to only 30 points. E-Town was able to find some footing in the second, closing the gap slightly. However, Catholic held on to the lead, defeating Elizabethtown in a tight 71-68 victory for the Cardinals. Finarelli led the Blue Jays with 16 points, followed behind by Finney with 15 and Anthony Lilly with 13 points. E-Town has one more game in the regular season on the road against Lycoming. However, their playoff spot has not been sealed like the women's team. Currently holding the 5th seed, if the Blue Jays take care of business on Saturday, they secure their spot in the Landmark Conference Championships. However, if they lose and both Moravian and Susquehanna win, the Blue Jays will end up 7th in the standings and miss the playoffs. We have another upset alert for the Blue Jays as the men's lacrosse team has defeated the number 17 team in the nation in Stevenson after a thrilling overtime victory. After allowing 8 goals in the third quarter, the Blue Jays were down 17-10 with only 10 minutes left in the fourth. E-Town came all the way back, tying the game up at 19 after a last-second heave from Brett Welland from the halfway line sent E-Town into overtime. Reese Levinson took full advantage after a turnover by Stevenson, scoring his 6th goal of the season and scoring the golden goal for the Blue Jays, defeating the Mustangs 20-19. E-Town led the game in shots with 55 compared to Stevenson's 39. Welland led the Blue Jays with 6 goals in the contest, followed by Finn Christian with 5 goals and Levinson with 3 goals. Tristan Coleman contributed 6 assists and 2 goals in the win, capping off a strong performance by the Blue Jays. After securing their first win of the season, the Blue Jays will take on Washington College on Saturday, February 21st, and will take on Swarthmore on Saturday, February 28th. Elizabethtown's wrestling was able to form a strong comeback against Shippensburg, defeating the Raiders 23-17. Devin Jackson and Corey Cope were able to win their first 2 matches. However, E-Town fell into a bit of a deficit, with Justice Hockenberry barely losing to the number 9 wrestler in the 165-pound class, giving Shippensburg a 17-9 lead. Gannon Smith did what he does best, pinning the 185-pound opponent in the second period. Will Davis picked up a major decision to give the Blue Jays another lead, and Savnu Adomi capped off the performance by defeating the heavyweight 12-2 to secure the victory. The Blue Jays will head to Alvernia for their final regular season tournament and will face off in the NCAA Region 3 Championships at the College in New Jersey on February 27th and 28th. E-Town's swim team competed down in Baltimore, Maryland over the past weekend and came home with some hardware after picking up strong performances. Jordan Dutko picked up a 12th place finish in the 200-yard butterfly after a strong weekend by the senior. Emma Sabalaski finished first in the B final, collecting 9th overall in the 200-yard breaststroke, and Leif Hoffman finished 4th in the same event for the men. Hoffman added a 9th place finish in the 200-yard butterfly, capping a strong final day for the Blue Jays on Sunday, which was declared as Finals Day. E-Town's men's team concluded the 4-day event with a 5th place finish in the conference, and the women's team finished 6th. The swim team now gets a break as they won't swim competitively until October. After a week filled with upsets and strong performances, I have to give this week's Player of the Week to a player who has stepped up for their team in crucial moments, giving them the spark they needed to win 2 games this past week, Aaliyah Kennedy. Kennedy, with a double-double on Wednesday, with a career high in rebounds on the evening, helped give the Blue Jays the push they needed to upset Catholic here at home. Congratulations, Aaliyah. That's it for this week's performance. Keep rooting for your Blue Jay athletes, and back to the trio in the studio.
Thank you for tuning in. On behalf of the whole crew of Flight Zone, we would like to acknowledge the shooting that happened on February 16th in Rhode Island at a youth hockey game. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all those affected. We'll see you next week in the Zone.